place felt suffocating. Not from heat, not from dust, but from the thick, poisonous overgrowth. Jake stood on the porch roof, balancing on a loose sheet of old roofing. Nails clenched between his teeth, a heavy rubber-handled hammer in his hand. All he needed to do was fix a piece of loose trim. But his eyes kept drifting to the left, beyond the sagging wire fence. Over there, on old Mr. Harper's abandoned property, nature had completely taken over. Giant hogweed. Not just weeds, a jungle. Thick, swollen stalks, as wide as fence posts, rose over 10 feet high, swallowing the neighboring house. Massive white flower heads loomed above them, like alien satellite dishes frozen in place. They looked sickly, sterile, against the dirty blue sky. Jake pulled a nail from his mouth. He didn't like the silence coming from that yard. No birds, no insects, just a dense, muffled stillness. He raised the hammer, aiming for the beam, and froze. Something changed beyond the fence. The plants weren't moving. There was no wind, but the enormous leaves began to part, slowly, carefully, without a sound, from beneath the lower leaves, from the damp shade. Something crawled into the strip of light along the fence line. At first, Jake thought it was a plucked, oversized chicken, or a dog, skinned alive. The thing was about the size of a large badger, completely white, the color of raw dough or boiled cartilage. No fur. Its skin glistened with slime. It raised its head. There was no face, no eyes, no nose, just a smooth, wet surface and huge, disproportionate openings on the sides of its head, like gills or bat ears. They twitched, pulling in the air. Then another one crawled out, and another. They moved in short, jerky bursts, freezing as if scanning, then lunging forward again. Their limbs were long, multi-jointed, ending in soft pads that made no sound. They were blind. Jake understood that immediately. They hunted by sound and vibration. The first creature approached the wire fence. Old, rusted. It touched the metal with a long white finger, no nail. The wire gave a faint squeak. The creature jerked. Its ear openings widened, and it made a sound, thin, almost inaudible, like echolocation. "Shit," Jake whispered silently. The roofing beneath his foot cracked. 3 pale heads snapped upward at once, straight at him. They froze. Jake could see faint blue veins pulsing beneath their skin. They were waiting for confirmation. One more sound, and they'd know exactly where he was. The one by the fence suddenly slipped through a hole in the wire, like liquid. It was on his side now, rising onto its hind limbs. It grew to the size of a 7-year-old child. At the center of his face, a vertical slit opened, a mouth, filled with tiny, translucent, needle-like teeth. It approached the porch post, sniffed the wood, and began to climb. No sound, just a soft, wet slap of flesh against wood. Its claws were soft, retractable, but strong. Jake froze. It was less than 3 feet from his boot. Its sensory openings trembled, catching every vibration. He needed noise, loud, sharp, something stronger than his heartbeat. His hand tightened around the hammer, heavy, perfect. He didn't hesitate. He swung and hurled it across the yard, aiming at the glass roof of the neighbor's greenhouse. The hammer flew. Shattered glass exploded in the silence. The sound hit like a gunshot. Instant reaction. The creature on the post twitched violently. The wood creaked. It let out a piercing screech and launched toward the noise. The others surged from the weeds, snapping stalks as they rushed in. like piranhas, to blood. Jake didn't have 3 seconds. He had one. He jumped off the roof without thinking. Pain shot through his knees, but he rolled and sprang up, limping toward his SUV. The door flew open. He threw himself inside, slammed it shut, and turned the key in one motion. The engine roared to life instantly. The vehicle shook. To creatures that sensed vibration, this was like a floodlight in darkness. The thing was already coming back. It slammed into the side of the car. Jake saw it up close. It wasn't melting the glass. It was smashing it with the bony ridge on its head. Cracks spread across the window, but it held. Thick slime smeared across the surface. Jake slammed it into gear and floored it. The SUV lunged forward. The creature clung to the door, hanging on. And that's when he saw it. It was holding something, not meat. A child's sandal, bright pink, with a plastic flower, belonging to the neighbor's granddaughter, who was supposed to visit that weekend. They didn't just kill, they collected. Jake jerked the wheel. The creature flew off into the dirt. The tire crushed something soft. The SUV burst onto the road. He didn't slow down. The rattling, vibrating engine was saving him. The noise made him invisible, lost in a sea of sound. The gas station was bright, crowded. Music played. The air smelled of coffee and gasoline. Everything felt normal. But Jake knew it wasn't. Normal ended where the weeds began. He stepped out of the car. His hands didn't shake. They were locked, stiff with tension. A smear of drying slime clung to the window. He walked up to the counter. Regular, 2 5-gallon cans, and oil, cheapest you've got. The cashier glanced at the door. "You've got something stuck on your car. Bird hit it." "Worse," Jake said quietly. "Weeds, deep roots." He knew what he was about to do was illegal. He knew the consequences, but he couldn't forget the pink sandal. They were learning. And if no one stopped them tonight, tomorrow they'd go further. Jake grabbed the fuel cans. Tonight, he wasn't a homeowner. Tonight, he was pest control.